So, despite what some people might think, there actually is an Alliance War season that's still happening. But man, oh man, this month of March has been absolutely insane with the immediate dropping of Karina's challenges, followed by the information on 7.4, the Battlegrounds beta. It's just been overwhelming with everything going on, and we're right in the middle of an Alliance War season. So, if you're in an alliance like ours, trying to push for as high as we can go, it's definitely been a lot to juggle, especially being an officer on top of all that. But this is a war video. Originally, I was debating if I was even going to put this one out because I do have a boss solo of Black Panther Civil War with Sorcerer Supreme. That's going to be at the end, so definitely stick around for that. But also, I think I let the busyness of life and of the game kind of get into my head because I did have a very ugly death early on. And just in general, people are really hype about just about everything else in MCOC except for war. I feel like in general, people aren't really interested in war videos, but I do like to put these out. They do serve an archival purpose for people that want to learn and search the fights that you see. So I did decide to go through with a full war video, and I do hope that you enjoy this one, including my first boss solo of the season. With that, let's take a look at the team. It's actually the first time I've ever brought Sorcerer Supreme to a season war, and that's mostly because she sat on defense for so long. Because of high ground, she was a bit of an annoying defender, but we figured that she's not really going to be doing that much on defense these days, given that Spider-Man 2099 exists and that high ground doesn't exist anymore. So just to set the scene, this first fight, I had a very, very busy day at work. The weather is starting to get a little warmer, which is nice. So I actually took these first 3 fights in my car, and the sun was beating down through the window, and my device actually got a little overheated to the point where at one point in the middle of the fight, you won't be able to see it here, but my screen dimmed down a little bit, and you're just going to see this first fight is very ugly. We're going to see the real good Sorcerer Supreme stuff later, but it is strike counter, and obviously Doom or somebody would be better here, but we just went into this fight thinking if I played the node, if I keep the Furies down, things are going to be fine. The one thing that's annoying about this for Sorcerer Supreme is that we basically have to throw our special 1 immediately because of power struggle. So right there, I just got auto-blocked, and he retaliated with a heavy. So there goes my indestructible boost. And what I would really like to have happen is for my regen on block to be the thing that comes up when I throw my special 1. But it's really, we're just at the whim of RNG here of when we're able to get these things off. So fortunately, I have not given him any Furies yet. I do not have any of the runes that I want, though. I don't really want the slow one. I really want armor breaks, and I really want regen on block. And then right here, he has a special 2, so I'm just going to have to block this. I'm taking hits. I'm taking a lot of damage, but because of the mastery swapping that we have, I actually have energy resistance on, and I think it's helping a little bit. So I'm still very much in control of this fight. We're going to be able to start clutching some stuff. Now, right there, something very interesting happened. I pushed him over a bar of power twice because of my power steal, and I actually threw my special 2, which I think hurt me in this match because I wasn't able to nullify his Furies, which means that basically I'm not going to be able to prevent his Nova charges from surging. If I was able to nullify some of these buffs, I might have been able to get out of this thing. But right here, he dashes toward me and he goes unblockable, and the fight's over. So, yeah, what a way to start a war for me. Now, I will admit it's not an ideal counter here because of power struggle. Basically, none of her abilities are reliable. The great thing about her is that you gain power, you always have specials ready, you can throw the specials that you want, but because of power struggle, we were at the whim of the node there. However, I played it decently enough so that he didn't get any Furies on him. The issue was just I felt uncomfortable the whole time, and it showed. I was getting smacked around here and there. And then, that one time that I pushed myself to a special 2, it really hurt because my nullification aura wasn't there. Now, I did just go right back in because the game plan was working. I was in Assassin's range, which I unlocked again because of the masteries and everything. So I figured, he was going to go down just with basic hits, and I wanted to preserve my invulnerable boost. But yeah, what a shaky start. I was really upset about that. The good thing is the rest of the battle group really, really picked me up, and I did get a little bit of redemption later. So yeah, not the first time that on a war where I have a boss solo, I've given up an early death. I think the only other time I've taken a boss for SSx, the same thing happened. Didn't feel great, but we're doing the best we can. It happens. Like I said, we may have, wanted to send a Doom or a Claire over there. I think she counters Nova better on that node, but I had Sorcerer for the boss. The rest of these fights made sense for Nebula, so we just went in. Now, this node is similar to node 20, but it doesn't have the masochism on it, so you don't have to do anything fancy before transferring your shocks over. You don't need to land a heavy first to trigger masochism. So I am just keeping mindful of my combos and of brute force, hitting him every once in a while. But we pretty much have our 20 charges because of the Proxima synergy. We give him 1 Fury, but you're going to see it doesn't matter at all, as that's the end of iHulk. So once again, the nuking of Nebula comes in handy here on an otherwise potentially scary node. And then, I should also mention that I did turn on Liquid Courage and Double Edge for these fights. It's one of the nice things about having the free mastery swaps that I mentioned earlier, especially running a Mystic Dispersion champ followed by a nuke champ that needs the recoil tree. It was pretty nice to have those free swaps multiple times per war. But next up, we've got this man thing. So I've taken him, this is the 3rd time this season. He's been getting a lot of kills on everyone's defense from what I've heard, so a lot of people are underestimating this node. What I learned the last time is if we don't have the Guillotine 2099 synergy to really supercharge us, that we just basically pretend that Nebula is Quake. I don't want to hit him at all. I don't want to give him any power. I don't want to, trigger anything like strike counter or static defense. Both of those things are bad. So I'm more than happy to heal Nebula up. I don't care if I get cornered. I'm usually good at baiting heavies in the corner. We're going to see, though, that some of my shakiness from earlier is coming into a play. So right there, stand your ground saved me. I just wasn't fast enough. I don't know, maybe my screen was hot. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was just nerves. But here we are. I do get hit that time. Fortunately, the regen comes in clutch. Right there, we land our heavy in the corner. And that's going to be the end of Man Thing. So that all ended up working. I did take some damage. We got to see the regen working pretty well on her. The only other thing I'll mention is you do need to watch out for the unstoppable armor timer. The worst thing that could happen is you're ready to do your finishing blow and then he procs an armor and goes unstoppable. So one of the reasons that I was delaying in the corner even though I had 20 charges was simply because I wanted to make sure that we were all set on the unstoppable armor front, but it ended up being a very safe heavy counter into a special 2 and all was good. So now here's this Colossus. I'm sharing this path with my buddy Caesar, so thanks for taking the middle fight with me. It's always nice when you have a similar schedule to somebody and you can do the whole path together. But this Colossus, we're going to see how much of a joke it is today, because I'm not even planning on using my special 2, mostly because I want to preserve a little bit of health and I don't want to trigger recoil. So this has chitinous thorns, which would put bleeds on you. It also has cutting wires, which converts a bleed into a shock if you are a robot. Nebula happens to be a robot. She also happens to be immune to bleed and shock, as you probably know. So all of those bleeds that are turned into shocks are going to be supercharging my amp charges to the tune of like every time I hit him, I get 5 charges. I max out at 20. I can transfer them over with a parry. You're going to see a ton of shocks on Colossus in no time. And we start with 10 as it is. The bleed from Double Edge alone gave me 15. We're already back to 20. Transfer those over. We're already back to 20. Transfer those over. 60 shocks on Colossus before even throwing any specials. Pretty much a joke. That fight used to be a trap. I talked about that in the last war, but in recent times, I wouldn't say there's much to that node if somebody has a Nebula. And there we have it. So then the Wasp goes down, and next up we have the Nimrod over here on node 46. So this has buffet, it has strike, counter, combat power rates, it has chitinous thorns, which we already talked about isn't a problem for Nebula. Now I have seen footage of this fight where something went wrong. The person that was fighting still clutched it out. But you do need to realize that if you're planning to nuke Nimrod on unstoppable armor, as soon as you transfer over your shocks, you no longer have 5 amp charges, which is the thing that turns off the abilities of robots. So that means he is free to do anything that the node or his own kit would keep track of. So I want you to take a look here. There are 2 timers, and I don't remember which is which, but one of them is the unstoppable armor timer, and one of them is the one that changes his protocols. So right here, we're going to see the protocol changes to the orange one. Typically, when his abilities are working, that means he gets a new armor. So what we want to do is make sure that both of these timers are not close to expiring. So that's why I waited till this moment to transfer the shocks over. You see a quick regen proc from Buffet because the abilities turn off, but it's enough to kill him right there. So there's no danger in doing the nuke there, but there is a little bit of a danger if you're not keeping track of those 2 timers. Fortunately, they don't overlap, and it all worked out. So yeah, just a little pro tip on that note. It should be a piece of cake, but I can see you accidentally getting the unstoppable. And finally, my first boss solo of the season. It's going to be Black Panther Civil War. Is a pretty good placement because this is one of the only defenders that Spider-Man 2099 cannot counter because slow doesn't work when you have class disadvantage. So what I want to do is put on, Icon's Ingenuity. It's the purple mode. This is the one where you get the slow debuff at the beginning. So as a pro tip to everybody, I do like to quit out of the entire war, come back in, make sure we see the yellow diamond. Right there, we can see that we're going to start in that mode. And again, the reason you start in that mode is you want to get the slow off immediately because it is going to take a minute to get to our special 3 before we can lock in the slow forever. So I do want to give a big shout out to MP Blaze, who's one of my friends, one of the rankings team for Vega. He had an excellent model for this fight. So I went into this fight feeling fully confident. I think in war number 2, he absolutely smashed it. So I basically verbatim copied his strategy, which is advanced power boost. Now, because he's duped, he's not going to be getting armors at the start of the fight. So it does make it a little easier, but we're just going to bait that heavy out, do a couple hits of a combo, and there you see the slow. So now we can hit him freely if we need to. We don't really have to, but you can see there, he's getting the armors. If the unstoppable appears on the screen, it's just a visual bug. You won't actually go unstoppable. But now I'm going to go back in the corner, just bait some heavies until I get back to Icon's Ingenuity. And there we have it. When you see purple, you throw your special 3, which, as they say, this is banking your rune, which is the one that puts the slow. So all you need to do for the rest of the fights is just not get hit and basically throw your specials anytime, and then you're going to be fine. So you see the slow on him. I don't think I throw it yet because there's enough uptime on it that we can get all the way to our special 2. I don't quite get to the special 2. I was looking at the timer, but there we go. Mystic Dispersion gives us a bunch of power back, and we're just going to throw another special 3. It doesn't really matter. The special 3 will just apply the slow as well and whatever other runes are up. So, it's the same thing. It's just you have to watch the animation again. And then at this point, I think we're off to the races. We're just going to be spamming specials as they come. So right here, we intercept with a special. We do the special 1 again. Now we have the regen on block. So we can take blocked hits for days. We're just going to be regenning them. You saw the little unstoppable timer appeared. It's not the end of the world because it's just a visual glitch. As long as you have the slow up, you're all good to go. We have the armor breaks. That's adding to our damage. Right there, some nice big crits. I did put the power back boost on, might as well, just gives us even more specials. So yeah, going really well. We don't even worry about baiting out the specials because we do have regen on block, so there's no reason to even risk it. So here we go again, bait the heavy, go back in, and I think one more special attack is going to do it. And just like that, in just over, 2 minutes, he goes down. So really, really felt good about that one. I was definitely a little nervous. First boss kill, already had a death this war. But I think it just kind of tells the story. You know, sometimes things can be a little overwhelming. I'm definitely feeling a little overwhelmed with the game and like with the life balance right now. And yeah, that first death, definitely avoidable. But the really good news is that as an alliance, we absolutely smashed it. I believe as an alliance, we only died 4 times total, which is a really, really excellent score for SSx. It's one of our best wars since I've been here. It really helps with the season rating as well, and we ended up winning the war. So, you know, it felt good that even though I gave up a sloppy death early, I did get a boss kill, and we ended up having everyone else pick me up, and we won the rest of the war. So going into the second half of the season, we're 4-2, feeling very good about that. And it should be a good, fun ride the rest of the way. So thanks for still supporting these war videos. I know there's so much to catch up to in the news and on YouTube when it comes to MCOC, but I do appreciate anytime my watchers and listeners will check out one of these war videos. I hope you enjoyed the Sorcerer fight, and I hope you have a great day. Catch you in the next one.